Surround yourself with good people who are experienced in zoning, experienced in survey, experienced in legal. Just reach out, ask a lot of questions, find out who has the experience. Realtors help people with the most important or one of the most important decisions of their lifetime.
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back to The Closing Table. I am your host, Kevin C. McIntosh. And joining me on this episode, we have a pleasure of speaking with another true real estate professional. We want to welcome Georgie Smigel to the show. How are you, Georgie?
I'm great. Thank you so much for asking.
Absolutely. And thank you for accepting our invitation to be a guest on The Closing Table and taking time out of your very busy schedule. We want to acknowledge that and appreciate you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate that and excited to do this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to know a little bit about you personally before we start talking about real estate, Georgie. So first and foremost, if you can, in 60 seconds or less, tell us who you are outside of real estate, please.
Outside of real estate, I'm a wife, a mom, a grandma. I love to entertain and cook and bake, and I do a lot of volunteer work in the schools around here.
Nice. A lot of volunteer work around the school. What motivates you to do that, to get into the schools and do work there?
Well, this community has given me so much. I like to give back to the community.
Good job. I understand that completely. All right, so we are here to talk business, real estate business more than anything. So let's talk about yours specifically. I want you to just describe your business for our audience and do it and touch on a few different things if you can. How long you've been licensed, your niche or specialty if you have one, and any notable achievements.
Sure. Okay, I have been doing real estate for 34 years. I got into it when I was 12. That's what I like to tell everyone. No, 34 years. I got into it just like everyone else did because I thought this was flexible hours when you had children and realized it's flexible hours, all hours. Okay, so it's but I love it. And so what's happened is I've gone from being a single agent, then having an assistant, then having a couple of assistants, being able to sell 100 homes by myself with an assistant. And then I got to the point where my business grew so much that I'd have second generation. What I mean is I sold the aunt and uncle's house and they refer me to the niece and they would live probably 45 minutes from my primary market. And so I had a couple people that did open houses for me. One gentleman in particular, Matt Olson, he actually did open houses for me, had the most expensive real estate license in the world because he studied real estate at Clarion, out-of-state tuition, and got his 4-year degree.
Oh.
So anyway, after I couldn't do any more, we started a group, and we were probably the first group in Pittsburgh. And then after Matt, we hired several other agents. So now we have 15 in our group. Not all sell. We have about 12 people who sell. Everyone who works in the office but the listing coordinator is a licensed realtor.
Gotcha.
And they don't full-time sell. They full-time. So we have a transaction coordinator. We have an office operations manager. We have a listing coordinator. And then we have 2 backup people.
Nice. Interesting. Full operations going on, and it started with just you doing work yourself. It's beautiful to see and hear about that growth.
It is. And I'll tell you, we have grown to sell over $100 million worth of real estate, 300 transactions, and the top team in Pittsburgh. out of all companies.
Congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you.
Good work, Georgie. Good work. Good work. Okay, so you already mentioned Pittsburgh. So let's dig deeper into your market. I want you to describe your market for our audience. Now, we had a few agents on here from the Pittsburgh market, but I love how everybody's answer is a little bit different. So describe your market twofold. One, geographically, give as much detail as possible what Pittsburgh is known for from your perspective. Describe it for people who may have never been there. Second, go into some of the economics, the data, the statistics when it comes to real estate in your market.
Okay, so one of the reasons I started a team was to be able to service most all of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a lot of little communities. We have, and suburbs. So our office is actually in the North Hills, the north suburbs. Cranberry Township is exactly the location. But members of my team service almost everywhere in Pittsburgh. So we have someone who specializes in Monroeville, Penn Hills, north, south, east, and west. So we don't have to say no to anyone who calls us, especially those repeat customers who have their grandchildren looking for a house, or mom or dad, or want to move different direction. So basically, we service all of Pittsburgh.
Good.
Primarily the north suburbs, but we go everywhere. Then, to tell you about Pittsburgh, okay, what do you think of Pittsburgh? A lot of people still think of the old steel mills, but I'm sure now when you see on TV, when the Steelers play or the Penguins play, it's a beautiful rehab city. Going into the city and seeing the lights and the bridges, it's beautiful. We're known for the three rivers, and we're known for the Steelers, the Penguins, and the Pirates. But what people don't know is we have some of the best hospitals in the world. We have transplant centers where people come from all over the world. We have the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center and Allegheny General. Both are fabulous healthcare facilities. We have so many universities. We have Pitt. We have Duquesne. I'm not going to say them all, and then I'm going to get bad press. Carnegie Mellon. We have Point Park, Slippery Rock, Grove City. Just so many universities. So, very diverse area now.
Nice. Interesting. So what's going on with any of the statistics? Do you have any data for us? Like, what's the average price points, days on market, or at least how has it adjusted since the beginning of the year?
Okay, well, my primary market where my office is, and I took a few notes to tell you that, where my office is Cranberry Township.
Okay.
And the average sale price in Cranberry Township is $475.
Sheesh.
Yes. 32 days on the market, still getting almost the average in the last 90 days closings, 100% of what they're asking. 53 active homes now. So I think that'll probably just give us it's seasonally adjusted right now. It's that season. But Pittsburgh, overall, the average sale price for Pittsburgh, and don't quote me exactly, but we're still one of the most affordable cities in the country. We have average sale price of around you can still get a really nice family home for $175, $200 in some of the areas of Pittsburgh. And, I understand that parts of Ohio and parts of Pittsburgh are on the top 20 lists of most affordable cities right now for housing.
Yep, the Toledo area. I've heard of that also. Correct.
Yep.
Correct. Interesting. Okay, so this Cranberry Township area that you're a lot more familiar with, I want to dig into that a little bit more. So is this like just a neighborhood within the city, or is this like a suburb of the city of Pittsburgh? And then I want you to talk about it a little bit more, if there's any unique insights or hidden gems within this Cranberry Township that you can share with the community that might surprise potential buyers or sellers?
Sure. So Cranberry, everywhere in Pittsburgh, it's really confusing when people first visit because mailing address and township have nothing to do with each other. So you could have a house, for example, it's in Marshall Township, North Allegheny Schools, but has a Mars mailing address. That actually exists. So it's very confusing for people looking in Pittsburgh. They really need to reach out to a realtor to help them understand where they want to live. Because if you go by a zip code, you might be doing the wrong thing. So Cranberry itself, I'm so blessed. It's right on the pinpoint of Beaver County, Allegheny County, and Butler County. The three counties merge within 2 miles of my office.
Okay.
So I'm able to easily service northern Allegheny County, which includes Pine Richland Schools and North Allegheny Schools, and then Cranberry Township, which is Seneca Valley Schools, and 2 miles east of me is Adams Township, which is Mars Schools. So being right where I'm at are 4 school districts, and then if I go to the west 2 miles, I'm in Economy Borough, which is Ambridge, Beaver County. So that has really helped to make me successful. The other thing is, 25 years ago now, probably, we opened what was called 279 and 79, which was a direct route from the city of Pittsburgh. So all of those suburbs opened up for people to work in the city and live in the suburbs.
Good. Very interesting what's going on there. And, I've heard many different things about Pittsburgh being the what do they call it? The city of bridges or something like that. Did I say that right?
Oh, yeah.
City of bridges. So with all the water and the different types of ways to navigate the area, I can understand it being confusing. And I can definitely understand wanting to reach out to a real estate professional who is very familiar and experienced with the area like yourself also. But one thing that stood out to me out of everything you said is, the proximity that Cranberry Township is to Pittsburgh and the difference in the price points. You said from $475 in the Cranberry Township area to around $175, $200, $225 in Pittsburgh, which is crazy to me. But I understand it though, right? It's different, lifestyle, different municipalities and things like that, but very interesting. I'm starting to hear and see a few different markets like that. Go ahead, please.
There is a lot to say in between the city of Pittsburgh until you get to Cranberry too, because just south of me, Cranberry Township would be Marshall Township, Franklin Park, and all of those prices have a higher sale price than actually Cranberry Township.
Oh, wow.
And then as you get closer to the city of Pittsburgh and the older homes, the price, some of the smaller, older homes goes down a bit. But now it's wonderful because young families are moving in, fixing those up, affordable, and bringing new life to all the little boroughs and city areas.
Yeah, as they should. Find a way, make a way. Yep. Turn the old into new. I love that.
Absolutely. And one thing I did want to say is we have Graham Park, which is an amazing place in Cranberry Township. It's a sports field for people with disabilities, and it draws a lot of people from all over. And when I say Cranberry, I'm kind of just saying that township, but we touch right up against Mars or Adams Township, which is funny. People love to say they moved to Mars. But, yeah. Just all new amenities. Something new is growing every day because of the growth, because you used to not be able to live there years ago.
Right.
It used to be all farm country. Taxes are lower in Butler County than they are in Allegheny County because the Allegheny County supports all the stadiums and infrastructure of the city of Pittsburgh.
Interesting. Love to hear about the growth. I've heard that from a few other agents also, how they're turning land into developments and things of that nature. So love to hear it. Love to hear it. Back when you look back on your career, Georgie, I want you to think about a time where you were handling a listing for a client. You were on the selling side, but the client may have had a very emotional attachment to their property, which I would assume you've had this situation before. Think about one of the most memorable situations where you sold a home or helped the client sell a home of which they had a very emotional attachment to, and how you helped them get through that.
Okay, so I told you when I was practicing the questions yesterday, this made me cry, so I'm going to try to get through it with a straight face.
Take your time.
So several years ago, and a long time ago, toward the beginning of my career, I had the opportunity to sell a 90-acre farm, which was the original Stagecoach Inn for this area. And that gentleman had terminal cancer, and all he kept saying to me is, please get this done so I don't have to leave my wife with all of this when I go. And so I learned so much from that transaction. It had a well, it had a septic, there were Indian burial grounds on that farm, there were zoning issues, there was super high radon levels, and we got through so much of that. It was historic areas, so some things couldn't even be changed.
Yeah.
But we got through so much of that. We made it to the closing. Before he passed, his wife crocheted me a little angel for the top of my Christmas tree that I use every year still to this day. And he did pass shortly after that. But that still was a really emotional thing for me, that transaction. And, over the years, I've been through so many where people have had hardships or got people that went from having a townhouse and then moving overseas for their job and then getting promoted and building one house and then moving to another location and then coming back and then becoming president of the company and buying a super, super big house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so there's been negative and, positives. Realtors help people with the most important or one of the most important decisions of their lifetime.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's unfortunate, about that situation. But what the fortunate part of it is that you were able to help him with one of his wishes that he wanted before he did transition. So
yeah,
that's beautiful that you were a part of that. And, as an agent, you're a part of a lot of people's, life changes, lifestyle changes, and, big moments that happen in their life. And, to be a part of some of those very, very sad ones and unfortunate ones too, and still remain your, professionalism, speaks volumes. So, I applaud you for, getting yourself and getting your clients through that type of situation. Only certain people would be built for that. So I want to keep it a little bit more on the positive side, right? Real quick. Not to say that necessarily wasn't positive, but can we talk about a situation where you built the relationship with the client throughout the process that you still have? You still have a relationship with them today. And not just an average relationship. Maybe it's a relationship where you two are really close or something like that. You're attending each other's graduation or certain ceremonies.
Oh, yeah.
Any situations like that you can recall? Oh,
yes. Just one recently. Tons of them, but this is the one I remember most recently. So, I had a listing and the folks reached out to me and said, can we come see this listing? And I'm like, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so I showed them and they said, you wouldn't remember us, but when we first moved here from down south, you had an open house. And we always said, and we've rented in the meanwhile, and when we go to buy a house, we are going to call you back because you were so nice and kind to us. And I said, great, sure. So I showed them the house. Unfortunately, they didn't get that house. But I said, I know another house that's coming up in the same neighborhood. And they said, oh, please, we love it. So I called them and I said, look, guys, I have a house coming up. The sellers are going through a split, and the husband doesn't keep the house as neat as normally as you would, but they'd love to show you the house, and you could just, if you like it, you can buy it. He won't have to clean the house. He'll be happy. You'll be happy. And they went in. They loved the house. They bought the house. It was a wonderful, happy transaction for both people. Less stress for the sellers. And then so that was not that long ago. And this year their daughter graduated, and I went to I was invited to the graduation party. And when I had COVID, they brought me soup. And I mean, it's just like, yes, I've made so many friends. I've actually, have had parties where they've come to my house. My clients have come to my house, or, my kids' weddings that I've stayed really close contact with some really good friends. We've made friends. So yes.
That is crazy. I love to hear about building relationships with people like that, and they end up being at, being in their child's wedding, or, being there at the graduation or something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy how you can build that relationship with someone who starts off as a stranger, essentially, and then becomes a close friend.
I'll tell you a really unique thing that happened last week, and I was just telling my team this at our team meeting yesterday, and that is I had a phone call from a lady. I sold a house to her 27 years ago, and then they split and sold that house. Then I sold her a townhouse, and then she worked her way up to a bigger house, and then a new relationship, and they bought a house. And 27 years ago, she just walked into the office and said, we want to sell our house and downsize to a patio home. So we have had a history of sales and just relationships. I mean, I don't hang out with them, but I send them Christmas cards, birthday cards. They do the same for me. So lots of, that's what I love about the business.
Yeah.
I do a lot of farming and handing out poinsettias to neighborhoods in Cranberry Township. And I can go to the NMARS, and I can go to the store to get groceries, and people go, oh my gosh, you're the poinsettia lady. How are you? So anyway, yeah.
I love for our guests to answer that question, because it shows the human side of who you are as an agent. It takes out, any factors of the money, or, the monetary aspect of it. And it just shows that you build beyond just, like I said, the money part of the transaction. You want to know the person, you want to build relationships with them, and you're there for their best interest beyond the transaction. I just love to hear that, and I love for our audience to hear that also, because it shows that agents aren't just out here just for money. And I love that. So I love for you to share that example and how you are close with your clients. That's a beautiful thing.
I would like to say one thing I tell my team: I never look at how much the commission is before I sell the house. If you start thinking about that, I just don't.
Yeah, it'll take you somewhere completely different.
Yeah, completely
I never have. Different. Yeah. Yep. Good point. I also would love for you to walk us through a transaction that you've had where you had to deal with complex legal or zoning issues, which I would imagine you have in your 30 plus years, whether it was a sale or selling or buying of a home. Can you speak on how you navigated through these legal or zoning issues to come to an actual satisfactory transaction?
Sure. So I guess what comes to mind would be I've sold plenty of farms to a developer that has had to change the zoning to make it a subdivision. So I was very, very fortunate to learn a lot of that stuff from him, who's a very good developer. So I sold 3 different farms. We combined them to make one large neighborhood, which is still being built to this day. We had to bring in public water, public sewer, get the zoning changed from agricultural to residential,
Right,
go
right.
through the lot sizes. It took several years, but it did happen. I think from the time I sold the property till the time the first house was built, with all of the zoning and the legal, it took about 4 years, maybe 5.
Sheesh.
Yeah, the best thing to remember on that is just surround yourself with good people who are experienced in zoning, experienced in survey, experienced in legal. Just reach out, ask a lot of questions, find out who has the experience. Yes.
Okay, so I want to ask, with that being said, from your perspective as an agent in that situation, does it benefit you more, or does it have no benefit at all if you had a relationship with a city, not a city council, but a city representative who was in some type of authoritative position for that zoning situation? Would it have been more beneficial to you, like maybe expedite the process, or would it have not made a difference at all?
I don't think it would make a difference
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
But it is good to know who to go to
Right.
ask the questions. But in our areas, it goes through a planning commission, it goes through, but I mean, it does help to know someone to say, Georgie, when you present this, you have to have X, Y, and Z
Correct.
ready,
Correct.
or you're going to be held up. But, fortunately, no favors or anything like that happen here.
Of course. I get it. I just figured I would ask just to see if there
Yeah.
was a relationship thing that would expedite the process. And I guess I've had this conversation on the closing table the last couple episodes. It's kind of a thing, but I have this thing where I'm just wondering why it takes city officials or city offices so long to do certain things. It just, but I don't want to go into a rabbit
I
hole
know,
with that.
it does.
Yeah.
It takes forever.
That's all, like, why? But that's a whole
here's
nother conversation. Go ahead, please.
Here's the thing, they only meet once a month and they have to have a quorum, and if someone's sick or on vacation, then you got to wait another month.
Yep,
It's
yep.
just like a lot of red tape. A lot of red tape.
Yeah, that's real. Thinking back your 30-year experience, you've seen many cycles in the real estate industry. Buyer's market, seller's market, recessions, blah, 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 housing crisis. What cycles have you experienced that you currently see repeating now? And which year or even decade do you feel like was the most interesting, and why?
Okay. So I don't know where the real estate market is going right now. I mean, I would have thought that it would have slowed down. But I just explained to you, our average time is 32 days on the market. And that's kind of just like some agents don't market under right away. They wait for a while. So, a good house is still selling immediately.
Of course.
And when I say some agents don't market under right away, they wait for inspections or appraisal, so the stats are only as good as, you could read into that a little bit. I just know as showing
right.
houses, if it's a good priced house, it's gone right away.
For sure. For sure.
So I would have thought that here's where we're at. This is just going to be like, instead of getting 20 offers on a house like we were 18 months ago, we might only get 3. And interest rates have tripled. So that just shows you the lack of housing we have.
Correct.
We have a lack of affordable housing, period. Okay? And I know to some people when I say under 500,000 is affordable, but truly under 500,000 is affordable. There's a lot of areas that I go to conferences with people from all different cities, and you're not even buying a 1-bedroom townhouse at 500,000 in Boston or New York.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Oh,
Florida.
no, forget about it. Yep.
I know.
California, certain areas. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I remember standing in line to get my award from for selling 300 homes, and I was getting the same award that a girl from Honolulu who sold 11 homes and never wore shoes, only wore sandals, was getting her award. We did the same amount in business.
That's crazy. That is crazy. You said
She
you
said
did 300?
300 homes.
Woo!
And they did 11.
Whoa. That
So
is
that means their average sale price was over 10 million because we did like 100 million. Okay?
Oh, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
That's perspective for you. Yeah, that's perspective. Yeah.
So under 500, we still have buyers.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many buyers that missed out. Okay, so you asked me what was crazy. I mean, 2008 was hard.
I'm not surprised.
We're lucky. We're very lucky in Pittsburgh. You never gain double your price, but we also didn't have the downturn that lots of people had in 2008. But 2020 was insane.
Yes, it was.
Insane. I mean, I worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we couldn't keep up. And it wasn't always like, people are like, oh, these agents are raking in the money. Guess what? We were writing offers, and there were 40 offers on a house. So we might write 15 offers, people paying over asking, getting no inspections, cash, and still not getting the offer. So, and you know, as the listing agent, reading all those 40 offers, 72 pages long, it was hard work. Yeah, it was great. We did sell a lot of houses, but it wasn't just slam dunk.
Yeah. No, that's those are the 2 years that I feel like most people would agree were the craziest or had the most impact on the economy, the world in general. 2008, shortly after I graduate high school, the housing crash and the mortgage industry crashing and the new laws that came into place. That was a very crazy situation. And I wasn't even, in a position to really understand. But then being where I am now as an adult and having the experience that I had to witness what happened in 2020, and to be quite honest with you, I really didn't even gain full perspective on it until maybe a year or two afterwards. Me not being an active agent or anything like that, I didn't really understand the interest rates and taking advantage of it, and people going out and buying and selling homes like crazy and how appreciation was adjusting. I had no idea until literally probably the year afterwards. So I completely understand. In retrospect, we can all look back and say, 2020 was ridiculous in so many different ways at the end of the time. So and I think that year is probably going to be cemented as one of those times for a long time, if I might add. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by your response. With that being said, I'm not surprised at all. But I want to ask you, in your market, in today's market specifically, if you are in a position of being a first-time homeowner in your market, what approach would you take to earning your first property?
Well, we have a lot of programs right now from a lot of different lenders for first-time buyers to help with the high interest rates, higher. So one thing that, I was telling my team yesterday that we have to keep in perspective is if you weren't in the market 3 years ago, you don't realize how much difference those low interest rates make till now. But so don't scare people off, because I don't see interest rates going down for a long time. And I read somebody's Facebook post that I thought it was brilliant. 7.5% might be a high interest rate, but renting is just way higher than that. And it wasn't exactly that. Renting is 40% interest. You're not getting anything. You're not getting a tax deduction. You're not gaining equity. You're not doing, it's just helping the landlord pay his mortgage. So I would say if you're a first-time buyer, definitely, and being part of my favorite thing is helping first-time buyers. I love it, even though I've been in the business, because I feel like I can educate them, really know what you're looking for. Understand that a roof is more important than granite and cost-wise. Understand your budget, and understand that you do get a tax deduction. To talk to your tax person, because it might not be as bad as you think, and at least get your foot in the door, because you can always refinance, or if you get a bonus at work or your pay, you can do what's called recasting your loan. But there's a lot of things you can do to get that rate. Or maybe take an adjustable rate mortgage to get into the house rather than renting. Just make sure you pay extra on the principal, so that when the interest does go up, your balance is enough to not have the payment go up.
Correct.
So I would say you need to be with, of course, I just don't like it when, of course I wouldn't. I'm a realtor. So I just don't like it when buyers go on Zillow, start looking for their house, call up and say, hey, we're a first-time buyer. We want to go see this house. They have no idea what they can afford. They have no idea what closing costs are. They have no idea of, no idea, period.
No, that's a great point. A lot of people don't even know where to start, literally. And because, in most cases, a real estate agent is the most seen person in a real estate transaction. They're the most marketed person. You don't see home inspectors marketing themselves for services out there too much.
Right.
You see an agent out there first and foremost. You don't even see MLOs out there as much. So because an agent is usually the person that's out there like, hey, who wants to buy or sell, most people think to reach out to them first, which there isn't anything bad. But if you go to the lender first, you know where you stand financially and what your spending power is nonetheless. But I do want to circle back to the interest rates real quick and touch on that 7-8% interest rates that we're kind of facing right now. It's subjective. Yes, it's higher than what it was 3 years ago during the pandemic, an event that will never happen again in most of our lifetimes. But compared to other years going back 50 plus years or so, it's actually pretty standard, if we're being honest. It's pretty standard, because it's definitely been almost twice as high as that back in some time. So I like to put that perspective on people. Yes, it's higher than it was, but it's technically lower than it has been also. So I like to put those in perspective. So
absolutely. I remember when I started, 18% interest.
Oh, whoa, whoa. That sounds, that's credit card numbers right there. That's credit card interest.
And we did a lot of things like owner financing and, just to get people in houses. And that was in the 80s.
Whew, yeah. So, once you know that as a potential buyer, it's like, okay, let's try to see if we can make this work type situation.
Yes, and if you have a good realtor who puts you in touch with a good lender, you might, depending on your income, be able to get, right now we have some lenders offering $10,000 gift, not even loan, gift. Yep. Or you ask the seller to pay a point and buy the rate down a little bit. There's just a lot of things we can do to help you.
Absolutely.
But also, know what you can afford. And talk to your realtor. Let your realtor get you in touch. A lot of times, people will go online and figure out what they can afford, and then they forget completely, There's taxes, homeowners insurance, PMI, closing costs.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't think of all that.
It's funny because exactly all of those things, those are the things that you really don't see up front and don't consider. So, yeah, that was spot on. That was spot on. Well, thank you so much, Georgie, for sharing your knowledge here with us at the closing table, pulling up a seat. At this point, if you have any last words and or want to tell people how to reach out to you, the floor is yours.
Sure. You know, I missed something I really wanted to tell you about Cranberry Township.
Please.
Okay. So we started the Georgie Smigel Group Scholarship. And we ask all the seniors to write why they like living in the community they live in. And then we give a scholarship. We actually give 2.
Nice.
So I want everyone to watch my website, georgiesmigel.com, so that they can, because we love posting for new coming buyers and that have young teenage students, why they like their school, why they like their neighborhood, why they like to live where they live. So that was one thing. But you can reach me at georgie.smigel@pittsburghmoves.com or my cell phone at 412-638-6258. But I think the best way or easiest way is just georgiesmigel.com, and you'll be able to get in touch with me.
There it is. Thank you again so much, Georgie. We appreciate you for that. And for our YouTube watchers right now, that's you right there. Do us both a favor and hit that like button. Thank you, please. Make sure you also share the content and subscribe to our channel. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, give us a 5-star rating, and also subscribe for our latest content. Georgie, I like to leave our audience with a question before we leave, because got to get those brains turning. So this is for the audience. What are some things about your specific community or neighborhood that makes it stand out from others in the area? Don't tell us now. Leave it in the comments below. Besides that, we'll talk to you next time.